Hi, I am Louise Lawrence Rose, and today we're talking about boundaries in counseling. Now, what are boundaries? Boundaries are parameters, scope. They are the rules or the terms of agreement in which the counselor and the counselee decide to operate. So, for example, they decide on the time for the session, the date for the session, the length of the session, where the session will take place, the why are we here, and what are we going to be discussing each time we meet. Now, boundaries are very important because they help to keep everyone, including the counselor and the counselee, in line. There are several benefits to boundaries. There are emotional benefits for both the client and the counselor because the client will come to the counseling session feeling quite uneasy, not knowing what to expect. But when they are put at ease in terms of what is it that we're expecting, what are we going to do, how are we going to do it, it helps them to have an emotional sense of easiness. It removes external pressures, and it also helps them with whatever is happening, whether inside or outside the counseling session, to know that at least these things exist that grounds them. It sets limits for both the client and the counselor. They can leave knowing that the limits have been observed and they have been respected, and they can be respectful. So, for example, one limit is we do not touch, right? So if there is a need, for example, the client is breaking down in the session and wanting to, feel a sense of warmth or some engagement from the counselor, they do understand, based on the boundaries that were set before, this is not something that the counselor will do. The counselor will hand a napkin or give them a bottle of water to make them feel easy, but not necessarily touch, because that was not a part of the terms of engagement. And it helps with the why, the who, and the what that is done, right? It borders a bit on confidentiality, what can be discussed, what can be said, where and when, and to whom certain things can be disclosed. It reduces exploitation, because counselees can be going from counselor to counselor, and sometimes, because a counselor might hold the upper hand because they have or are the reservoir of knowledge, some counselors might tend to exploit the client. So the boundaries set that parameter that prevents the client from being exploited. It increases the effectiveness of the therapy session, because if we know that we have half an hour, then we will know what the objectives are for that half an hour, and we'll work to get everything done in a specific time frame. And it reduces vulnerability. Vulnerability also for the counselor, because we are all human beings and we can get vulnerable at times. And so when we also know what the parameters are, we stay within our remit and make the session more successful.